Aminuis is one rural constituency affected by a lack of rain, depleted underground and water, and also affecting crop and livestock production. Apart from drought, the country or the rural community also facing livestock theft. In the past years, many farmers lost their livestock and households struggled to put food on the table. Joining us with more on this, we are joined by Peter Kazongominja, who is of course going to share more about the struggles and of course what opportunities also lie. Very good morning, Mr. Petrus. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much, my honorable Senator.
Always a pleasure to hear from you. Can you please just perhaps start by describing the drought situation in your constituency?
Thank you very much. Aminuis is really, as you have put it there, affected by drought since 2012. Today we are in 2024. It's more than 12 years that we are having consistent and recurrent droughts. So if we have consistent and this recurrent drought for 12 years, so it means your underground water resource will be depleted. It also means animals will also perish, and then hunger among farming communities will kick in. That is what we are sitting with in Aminuis. So people cannot put proper bread on the table because they were surviving from their livestock, and their livestock is no more there. And you know, if there was livestock, you know, livestock is not for the one that is having them. It's also for the extended family. Then you can provide, a can of milk to whatever liters of milk to the extended family there. You can provide whatever crops that you have produced, and then the rest that you did not use, then you can also give for to your neighbor. But because of all these other factors, this is not happening anymore. Everyone is just struggling and try for his own or her own family to survive now. There is nothing left for the extended family. And families now are getting it very tough to put bread on the table because of this recurrent drought that is almost for 12 years. If we are lucky, we only have one, not a good year, but a more moderate year, one can say. And then the next coming year is drought. That is what we are having in Aminuis for the past 12 years.
Knowing that now this has been going on for 12 years, like you just mentioned, what are some of the solutions or perhaps the factors that the community members have been coming up with to, of course, sustain themselves and also now just lessen the struggle that they are currently facing as per the result of drought?
Yes. The current thing is now, we have livestock. Livestock, we have the sheep, we have the goats, and then you have the cattle. And one thing that we have now noticed with these recurrent droughts, sheep and cattle, they are competing on the very same grazing. Now what happens is, when you have too much sheep within cattle farming, the cattle will not survive because the sheep is eating all the available small grazing that you can find, because all of them are competing on grass. So now you have to see to it that reduce sheep and the cattle and maybe come up with a bit of more goats, because now goats are more grazing on leaves. If you have a few green leaves, then your goat will never touch grass, because normally goats also doesn't touch grass. It's very often that they go. So that is also one of those things that we are encouraging farmers to do, and the numbers also to minimize the number of livestock, especially the cattle population, so that you can only have a few that can really be sustained during this rough environment, weather conditions that we are living in. It won't help you having how many cattle and you want them to survive with it. So when we decrease all these things, and then crop production also, we have come into that. Let us try to see if we cannot irrigate by rain, then let us try to see whether boreholes is a possibility. whether a few water we can get, and then we go on these crops that are just depending on day-to-day irrigation of it. And I think if you come to Aminius with the drought that I'm talking of, with the animals that you will find even in the auction, then you will say, did Councillor lie to us, or what is it that we are saying? But our farmers are trying their level best to really go through these droughts. And we will not leave government out also. They are also, on the other hand, having fodder subsidies, although we say that is not the ideal subsidy that we want to have. Because their subsidies is always on sell so that you can buy, sell so that you can add a few dollars to whatever we are going to give you. We say, just go to meat board, try to see what is the number of animals you can maybe help every farmer with, and that number you give me something like a fodder voucher in advance, so that I can go to Accra with the fodder voucher, and then I can add a few 500 to what I want that can sustain me for a longer period. But this one of say, go to sell and then add on what we gave you, this thing is not working. But we are struggling, we are there.
You mentioned something about the boreholes that you said were some of the solutions that the community members were trying to come up with. How far has that progressed to now, and what more needs to be done in terms of irrigating from that idea?
Really, in our areas there, you will have success stories of boreholes that were drilled, but then many of these boreholes was also made really unsuccessful. Why? One of the reasons that makes these boreholes unsuccessful, the contractors that got these tenders, the equipment, especially the trucks that they are using. Part of Aminuis is a sandy area, and you should drill very deep. So a solo borehole won't get water. No, even you have to have a 4x4 truck that you are taking these rigs and everything with. If you don't have a 4x4 trucks, how will you reach a sandy area where you should drill? So all these boreholes becomes unsuccessful because of the contractors that were not having the right equipments. And you don't know why these people have been awarded these contracts. And they are just failing government year in and year out. But a few of them have maybe we become successful. And the other thing is also, we have also this salty water. You drill a borehole today, after a year and a half, salt have eaten everything in that borehole. Nothing is moving. Now you have to go and drill another one because the part of Aminuis also have that salty water and it's also causing problem again. So there are a lot of factors that but then you have a few. Go to Aminuis proper RC. There is a very one successful garden from a private individual. Go to Orevia. There is a successful garden that really produces very well. Go to Oshikoto, there is also a successful garden. Go to Aminuis also, there is also small farmers that also have their own backyard gardens to try to see to it that they are really supporting themselves with food security. But everything, the thing is, weather conditions is not being made by someone. It is before you the educated ones talk of climate change and all these things. So we have to try to see to it that we do our best in the bad weather conditions that we're having. If we say because of the climate change nobody can do anything, then we are killing ourselves. So we just encourage our farmers, as they already have encouraged themselves, that they really go to cattle, even to auctions. I think the last auction that I was in, there was all about 600 winners, these young cows from 250 downwards, that were on the auction. And the conditions did not look that bad. But when you go to the field itself, look into the condition of the field, then you will wonder, why are these cattle kept? But people are going out of their way to feed these animals and to make sure it brings bread on the table, because we cannot have a standstill of life because of the drought.
So what then needs to be done? What is the call from the people, especially for the farmers now, who are now also very hardly hit by the drought currently? What do you think is the solution, or who needs to be addressed? Who needs to be consulted for things to be made better? Because you just mentioned now that, agriculture or that fodder that's being delivered, or the plea that is being made for farmers to sell and then perhaps buy, is also not a sustainable one. Who needs to be brought to the front to really help this situation come to the better?
One thing that we need to do is our agriculturalists, our technicians that we are having on the ground, they are quite doing a very good job, and we want them to continue doing so, because really they are hard at work making sure farmers are plowing, making sure we are reducing on elder cattle, keeping young ones that can be drought resistant, making sure really where there's a little bit of water is, that the distance between the little grazing and the water that we are having should not be too big. Shorten the distance to the grazing so that animals are not moving long distances. And the other thing is also, the whole area is not 100% dry. You have maybe a 30% that is having a few pieces of, moisture and a bit of food. So we are sharing. People are moving from one area to that one with a few, and villages are just allocating also for them not to get also in the same predicament that you are in. So you cannot bring 100 if these people are asking you to bring 20. So we should cooperate. Also, villages should cooperate with one another. If you ask to bring 20, just bring the 20 and see to it where can you take the other 20. Don't want to bring the whole 100 because other problems. So this is what we have. And the other thing is also our other peoples that doesn't have animals. They are especially the marginalized communities, our San communities, are surviving on marginalized food parcels. And this food parcel does not come on time. The interval between food parcels for the marginalized community are too long. 3 months, you give, now they have increased to a 20 kg or a bag of maize meal with cooking oil and what. But a household of 15 people at 20 kg will only last for 2 to 3 weeks. Thereafter, they are waiting for other 3 months. And when that 3 months come, then the transport problem within the region, within the ministries kicked in. Food parcels does not reach these people again in time, whether it is now in the warehouses, from the warehouse to the community, there is also another transport problem. The same with the drought relief. Currently now, as the two of us are talking, I have drought relief food in the warehouses, but there is no transport to take this food to the communities. Now I'm relying on communities to come and get this food from the warehouses. For them to get the food from the warehouses, now they have to pay for petrol and diesel, fuel those cars that is bringing the food. And then the distribution on the ground again. Though the car was yours, you say you did not give me fuel, so I'm going to take one of your cooking oil.
So it becomes a fight now.
Again, fights on the ground. If this food stays here for long, it becomes rotten. So the whole transport, food delivery system from the office of the Prime Minister to the regions and to the constituencies need to be improved. There are still a lot of loose ends that needs to be tied. And we have spoke these things to the office of the Prime Minister, they are aware of it, regional offices, but we don't have a solution up to today.
It's quite unfortunate. Let's talk about unemployment in your constituency. We do know that unemployment, of course, unfortunately, affects everyone. So how is your office, assisting in this regard to make sure that there are some of the people who are, who are employed, in some form of employment as well, just to reduce the statistics in terms of unemployment in the country?
There is two things that is also unemployment in Namibia. It's known of worldwide also. If you listen to the news everywhere, unemployment is an issue.
Unfortunately.
We try to reduce unemployment. One thing that we have come up with is our own children. If I can have someone to come and assist me and pay him 1,500. Why is our own kids not taking in that opportunity and getting the 1,500 plus the little food that we have at home? But our people does not see it as a way of employment or a method of employment.
Yeah.
They want to sit at home while you are struggling with all these battles of the drought and so on, and then they want to be fed. So my plea to our youth is, for those parents that can afford to have their own kids, assisting them and giving them a few dollars for survival, can they please take up that opportunity? Employment in Namibia have become a rare commodity now, as we are talking of.
True.
And if we can do that, we will also reduce the burden of unemployment. Little, because we know what we are going to give them is not enough.
Yeah.
But at least you can buy your own cosmetics, and you can also buy your extra green cross that you want as a young man, boy or girl. Just assist at home, and the parents that can afford. And now we are bringing in people. One day we have calculated the people that we brought in our village that are working there, helping us there with the little that we are paying them. On a monthly basis, it's up to 20,000 that the villages that they are paying for those people that are assisting at home.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a dry year because I'm here. No, who's looking after my animals? Someone is there, and I need to give him something. But if my own kids can also do it, why not? Maybe by then we will reduce unemployment as it is very high, and then we have these marginalized communities that I have talked of. If there is nobody that can look after him, they are waiting for this distribution, and if that distribution is taking too long, and then stock theft is on the increase.
Yeah.
Stock theft is on the increase. Sometimes you get those that are stealing for a luxury life.
Yeah.
And you get those that are taking or stealing because there is nothing in their stomach. Nothing. That goat that they go and steal from my kraal is the one that they go to have dinner and lunch for 2 days. After that goat is finished, then they have to take another one. So villages are up in arms with one another because of the stock theft.
Absolutely.
And because of the hunger our peoples are getting. And that's why we went to do that expand, and then even the Bakalahati community in Aminuis, as we are talking, it's on its way to be recognized as a marginalized community because most of those people doesn't have animals. They doesn't have what, and they are staying there in the communal areas with other villages, and they are causing havoc among the other communities.
Yeah.
And this, we cannot allow fights, so government have stepped in with our requests and assistance from going to government, request them to step in and to make this community recognize them as a marginalized one, for them maybe to have a garden or something. We are on our way now. At Corridor 21, put up a garden for the Bakalahati community. Maybe by that we can ensure food security.
Okay.
But we know when we put up this garden, the youth that need to come and work in the garden, because we are saying if we put them in the garden, then we can go back and have a cash food for work program for those that are working in the garden. Before the garden start to produce, then we give them something, and by the time the garden start to produce, then now they can start living from the garden.
All right.
But we know the ignorance of our youth.
Absolutely.
But we are trying our best.
All right. Mr. PK, thank you so much for making the time to talk to us this morning. And of course, we wish you all the best in those developments, and also just hoping that things turn out to be better. Of course, it's unfortunate that drought affects our communities in that area, but of course, we are trying our best to of course, hope that things work out for us.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for getting our messages out there. And I think everyone is hearing, but we are not dead, we are alive, and we are trying to make ends meet. Thank you.
Absolutely. There you are. All right.